Hello, dear Unocoiners, and once again, welcome to another one of Unocoin's AMAs on Bitcoin, blockchain, and crypto. This is Shambhavi Soni, your host for today's AMA. In today's world, we are witnessing a very sharp shift towards a digital economy. And of course, the current financial system, which is centralized and of course a lot opaque, we are seeing that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies have emerged as an alternative decentralized form of currency that can of course be used as a medium to transact all across the world. Now, that being said, why do we need Bitcoin, blockchain, and crypto? The answer lies in the potential to transform the way we transact and manage our finances. So, whether you're here to invest in cryptocurrencies or explore the blockchain technology for your business, we hope that email is going to be really insightful for you all. To answer all your questions today, we have your favorite subject matter expert, Mr. Sathvik Vishwanath, who is the CEO of Unocoin, India's most trusted crypto and Bitcoin exchange. So, guys, let's quickly start. Hi, Satvik, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm great as well. So here we see we already have our audience coming in. We have Sachin who's saying hi. Hi, Sachin.
Hello.
Uh, Starting off with the questions, straight Satvik, what is your opinion about this transformation that this whole Bitcoin, blockchain, and crypto technology is bringing to the traditional financial system that we have?
Yeah, I think these three are, but they have some common factors, but essentially they are different, right? So, Bitcoin, it's the first crypto that we know in existence since 2009. So, when Bitcoin was invented, we didn't really know that the technology behind it will also become equally popular.
Yes.
So the idea for invention of Bitcoin is to allow transactions peer to peer, like anywhere to anywhere in the world, without a middleman. So the moment you remove the middleman, that will create efficiency in terms of time, like how fast the transaction works, and also the cost associated with it. It will make it close to being free. So yeah, so this is the first part of the story for Bitcoin, right? But for this Bitcoin to work, there is a technology behind it, which is now called blockchain. Okay, so the in simple words, blockchain is a ledger which is distributed across multiple people, multiple computers, and all of them will have the interaction between them, which will make sure the new transactions are getting appended to the ledger, and it won't allow a old transaction to be manipulated, right? So now, if we leave away the Bitcoin and only talk about blockchain, so there are so many instances, so many places with various industries where we see this kind of distributed information, which is tamper proof, is required, and they did not have a solution before. So now they are seeing the blockchain to be the solution for that problem, right? So on one side, it's like two entities or hundreds of entities, they don't want to trust each other. Okay, and they are, well, once the trust is not there, then they will not try to say, okay, this become the leader and everyone become followers. That won't happen, because no one is trusting anyone. Only if the followers trust the leaders, there is a quorum there, right? So then what happens, we need something like this, the technology like blockchain, so where no one need to trust each other, or to any extent. But however, as long as they are participating in the network, they have the required information, and what exactly information existed in the past at various points in the past, various points of timeline, so that can be easily established as well. So this is like a new thing that got on the table, right? And then comes general crypto, a lot of them, right? It's not just Bitcoin. So Bitcoin had a very specific use case. Its use case is significantly vast,
Sure.
even though it is very simple, and only one thing it does, which is doing transactions. That's all, from peer to peer, right? But as we see, there are so many other use cases through which the blockchain can be utilized. So now, when you have the value part of it, and the potential of blockchain, what else it can do, right? So when you combine those, then we have different altcoins, which you generally call it as cryptos, right? So they came up with the idea of smart contracts. Then once the smart contracts was okay, yes, it works. Then came up with various new concepts of decentralized exchanges, decentralized financing, NFTs, some game financing, and metaverse. So all of that are subsequent. Subsequently, we have seen these are all the different industries where there was a gap which could be filled if you are bringing the value and the network together to them. So in that way, we have all three now, I think. But everything is in a way connected, but it's doing it very different work altogether.
I think I agree on that part because we see blockchain being implemented in different tech forms as well as their, a place of data storage and everything. And I think this technology that came alongside, I'm not sure about this information, of course. This technology of blockchain came alongside Bitcoin when Satoshi created it, right?
Not
Or
no. See that the for creation of the Bitcoin, they had to build tech right behind it, but it was not really seen that this tech itself could be something independent. So they saw that okay, there's a tech, and on top of that, Bitcoin works. Like end of it,
Okay.
transactions are fine. So in the Bitcoin white paper as well, if you see, there is no clear mention about the term blockchain. Okay, so it is we maybe 4 or 5 years later, once we have the Bitcoin invention. So maybe that around 14, 15, 16. So those are all the years where all industries so shortly like, okay, we want to see what the people were really asking, like, what is your blockchain strategy? That is a kind of questions, right? And now I don't listen to that anymore. But there was one time where if you are not implementing blockchain in your industry or in your company, then maybe you will be left behind. You don't know, kind of thing. Right?
True.
So yeah, so that happened in those few years, and afterwards, wherever it cannot be used, where it can be used, got quite well established. So now, if you are seeing blockchain, usually it is behind the scenes. It is not something we will ever interact with directly, but wherever niche requirement is there for implementing the blockchain, we just do it.
True that. So we are getting so many questions now. Ranveer is saying hello. Hi Ranveer. Then we have question from Sachin Kundal. He's asking smart contracts help blockchain. Why node validation is required? I'm not aware of what is the actual work of blockchain.
See, the blockchain generally records the transactions, and it can also store smart contracts and run them. And these smart contracts will have various triggers. It could be timeline based, or it could be Oracle, like external data based, right? So based on those, or maybe it could be transaction based. So based upon those conditions, the program will run and it will produce its output. So when that happens, it's like completion of that, right? And however, because this program, once it is written, it is implemented on the blockchain, and sometimes it also locks up some money because the smart contract actually needs. So some of them do lock up money. So and be based upon the logic of this that particular smart contract, the program will run and it will achieve and it will just resolve by itself and conclude. Okay, so if you just have smart contract but not the blockchain, then you are holding a copy of a smart contract. Someone else is also holding the copy of the smart contract. But then, whether are you letting the contract to be run on your computer, and if they are letting their smart contract to be run on their computer, and they may say that okay, I know that this will not work in my favor, I don't run it. Simply words, right? So, but when it is on the blockchain like Ethereum blockchain or any other global layer one blockchains, which is capable of running the smart contract, so one cannot stop it from running.
True.
Okay, so the smart contract is written, it is agreed with the parties, then it is pushed on the blockchain, and it waits in the blockchain just for execution. So that contract particular thing is, once it reaches the blockchain, is public in nature, which means people can read it. So you exactly know what is written, right? So when wherever the trigger happens, it just works. I think that's pretty much how simple it is. So blockchain is like a external data source which will not fail as far as the execution of smart contract is concerned, which is again trusted by everyone. So you're trusting the smart contract, then you're trusting the platform on which the smart contract runs, and the smart contract runs, and the platform itself is blockchain.
Okay, so this is very interesting, like, how this entire technology works. And I think in most of my AMA, Sathvik, that I do with you, that I do with Sunny, that I do with external speakers, when I learn about the beauty of technology, it actually feels like next to magic, doesn't it? So I
Mhm.
think, yeah, IITs are the next Hogwarts that we see. But yes, it's pretty interesting. So I think, Sachin, you got the answer to your question. Just a second. Okay. So, Satvik, when we talk about the use cases of these technologies, like you said, Bitcoin has a different use case, blockchain has a different use case in today's world. How would you say that the utility of the upcoming future is dependent on these technologies?
See, the upcoming future again depends upon the people who are building it, right? So, like me, like you, like the people who are supporting it at various levels. Some could be supporting the innovation by being a part of the development teams, or some could be developing products on top of the blockchain, which is like some layer two products, or some making it maybe for the user experience, making it easier, or they could be building wallets for mobile phones, etc. Right. So, and then there could be people who are building services like us, like Unocoin, right? So where we are giving access to the tokens and coins. And then there are customers or investors. If they are not any of these, then they try to take the exposure and hope that this technology will have some future, right? Then there are regulators who again are making sure that the law of the land will not get broken because this technology is new in nature and it was not a part of the life and lifestyle when these laws were created in the past. So, like this, I think it will come down to various people and entities, and depending upon how everyone is putting the efforts, I would say the future will definitely have the lot of I mean, dependency, even impact, right?
True.
So the and again, this is to some extent country dependent, um, and to a large extent the population. So if they are like forward looking, digital savvy, English speaking, investing mentality, having access to mobile phones, smartphones, cheap internet, so all of this makes it better, right?
Yes.
But on the other side, if the regulators want to stick with traditional ways, or if the people start thinking that no, this is something that I don't know whether I can take the risk or not, right? And if because of the regulators, the businesses are not really flourishing, or it could be that the lack of human power itself in a specific country, or or let's say a country where the payment network is already really good established, they don't need another alternative for time being, kind of thing, right? So like that, I think there are so many conditions due to which the success of Bitcoin or blockchain or crypto depends upon. But I would say the best thing here is, um, as long as some progress continue to happen anywhere or everywhere in the world, even if the others are facing the issues, the progress is progress.
True.
And you cannot, most of the times, you cannot create progress just for yourself. If you're creating directly or indirectly, it is helping the entire industry worldwide.
True.
Okay, so in that way, this is different. So I do work that I can do when I can do, and that is true with everyone. right? So when and to what extent I can do, right? So to the and what are my passions, all of that combined. So the different sets of people and different countries, different regulators, and different um, aspects, like it could be development or trading or platforms or wallets or new protocols or enabling new industries to explore blocks. So like that. So whatever differences. So all of these combined will kind of define the future. And because this can, I mean, it can only progress. I cannot see how it will go back, right? So the progress could be faster in few years, and it could be slower, but it is still steps taken in
It's
the right
still
direction.
steps taken. I have a concluding point to that, but I think I'll use that at the end of this session. We are getting so many questions. So here we have Pikachu detects. Okay, my favorite Pokemon, by the way. He's asking smart contracts using DeFi. So I think he's confused about the part where smart contracts are using DeFi.
See, DeFi, which is a short form for decentralized
Decentralized finance.
financing, right? So, I mean, I am not like the super expert in that topic, but my understanding is that you'll be able to obtain finances, as in something giving you loan, or someone giving you loan, some entity or some protocol giving you loan, and sometimes it comes again at a cost of you pledging something or someone agreeing for something else, right? So once that is done, it will issue some loan to you, right? But on the other side, where this loan is coming from, so people are using their assets, and generally crypto assets and decentralized assets. So where they want to pledge, invest, or lend uh, the particular amount of money through the protocol, again, which is again linked to this smart contract, and that is done in exchange for returns, right? So for this particular smart contract, and if it runs this way, which is a DeFi application, and it gives you X amount of returns per day, per month, per year, whatever it is, and for that they are doing it. So in that way, the smart contract just lays out the rules of how the loan should work from both lender's perspective and the loan seeker's perspective. So once that is written, both of them come on the same platform, and they have their methods of again interacting with that smart contract. Based upon that, they will put their money or digital assets or whatnot. And once the conditions are established, the smart contract will be already designed to run, and it will produce some output. So which could be like something is getting locked and something is getting swapped, right? So at that time, and then there has to be some kind of payment that is like a cost of getting that finance, which is like an interest, or if the proper interest payment is not done or principal payment is not done, then there'll be some kind of penalties and any other charges we can think of, right? So yeah, the smart contract will involve all of these things. How exactly it is? So it's like the rules in a bank.
True.
Okay, so once the rules in the bank are established, there are people who lend the money, which means there are people who create fixed deposit, and in that way, bank gets the money. And there are people who takes the money, like business loan or whatever, and they pay the interest. A part of that interest is passed on to the person who actually created the fixed deposit. But this is working in a completely centralized manner. But if you take the entire same thing and put on the blockchain, and if it can be worked from anywhere to anywhere in the world, then it will be more decentralized peer-to-peer financing, which we usually call it as DeFi.
So I think you got the answer, Pikachu, I hope. We have another question from Sachin Kundal, Sathvik. He's asking blockchain can help for businesses and enterprise solutions. Why do I personally need blockchain?
See, I don't think any one of us personally need blockchain. So it is more related to what happens behind the
Organizations, yeah.
scenes at the industry level, kind of things. Or maybe let's say for identity verification in the future, maybe it could help us with managing the patient data or supply chain, identification of what is genuine and what is not. So all of that At the end of the day, it's unlikely a common man would interact with blockchain directly, right? So today as well, I still don't think a common man would interact with Bitcoin's blockchain directly. There are mobile wallets on top of it, or exchanges like us on top of it. So where at the end of the day, the interaction point for the common man is a application interface, right? So where he goes, he types something and press the send button, right? Um, so let's say if these interfaces did not exist, then he had to go at the command level prompts and try to enter different things and sometimes try to write programs, make sure that he is not doing any kind of mistakes and such, or sometimes risk losing the money for doing something wrong. So we usually, whenever that is the way of doing the transaction, then it will not become popular. So how many of them will actually go sit, open a terminal, right? So then type some Bitcoin hyphen send space minus C 2000. So like how much fees I want to put and how I want to generate transactions. So all of that is internally handled by a program. So our touch point is only like type where you want to send it, how much you want to send, then send button, authentication, be done, right? So in that way, the there is one layer on top, right? Sometimes two layers on top, right? So for example, there is a blockchain, and on top of that, we as Unocoin are a service provider, right? And we provide various APIs through which they can interact with blockchain also and with our services also. And then there are a possibility that a third party can develop a wallet on top of it, right? So it's, and what the interface they want to give, whatever information they want to give, so eventually it is interacting with our blockchain, with our APIs, which is in turn interacting with blockchain, right? So or sometimes it not even be blockchain, it will be one another company which is providing us services on top of blockchain, right? So the interaction will go through that, right? So will the common man really know what's happening at the blockchain level? It's comparatively unlikely. But good thing is he would know about blockchain much more than how much he would know about a database used by a bank.
Yes, true.
Because that is, I don't know. Like for example, what database ICICI Bank uses, I don't know. So how the ledgers are prepared and what is the reserves or anything, right? So some could be in public information, but only some people may know it. Sometimes also, right? And it may not be that simple. So, and I may not know it in depth level, transparency things and such things. Some of them would be privileged information. Some of them will be private information. Some of them could be only for regulators, and there are like so many. Including some of them could be like KYC related information and such things. Right? So it's different. So but it comes to the blockchain, and on the other side you have the common man. So with some knowledge, if he understands how the blockchain works, so he can see what he did on the first application, right? Depending upon the transaction hashes provides, he can go to blockchain, he can check himself whether the transaction is getting processed or not. And if it is still have got processed, but the app is showing that pending, you can question there why the app is showing still pending when the actual transaction is complete. Right. So to some extent, he can go one step closer to blockchain, one or two steps, as compared to something which is like a bank, where what you see, that's end of it, right? So if it says pending, it's pending.
True.
Yeah.
So I think Sachin, you got the answer because it's not very much required at a personal level to understand the entire concept to use it for your day-to-day activities. But the kind of organizations that you interact with, financial organizations, I would even say the governments can make a good use of all the blockchain technology that's there. So so it's there, and you can of course take advantage of knowing this beforehand when they're using what technology they're using and all these stuff. So it's basically an awareness thing that you should maybe be aware of. Next question is from Ranveer Singh here. He's asking, can chat GPT type of technology impact Bitcoin trading or maybe in some other ways can it impact the industry as such?
Yeah, I think it's likely could happen because at the end of the day, the price of Bitcoin, for example, because we were talking about trading, is dependent upon a lot of external factors, right? And most of those external factors, the information of those are also available on the internet. So a chat GPT, let's say if it is connected to the internet at live, so where it can see all activities and news articles and analysis happening at the live level, will or can actually come up with some kind of strategies on, okay, this looks like it's more dangerous to enter at this prices, or this is the best likely price, that because this particular news is supposed to create this much of impact, but however it only creates this much, which means there is a potential for growth. So like those kinds of information could be there, right? And there is also a possibility that these chat GPT can write some kind of algorithms and bots for implementing the trading activities. So when to place the order, at what price to place the order, and when to exit, right? So right now, one of the biggest issues, because when we comparatively just do it through, I mean, when the human is doing it, is he get biased through sentiments.
True.
Right. So
AI has
when
those emotions.
so even though his brain is saying that he should exit because it's like he's getting his returns, your heart gets put. Let's see what will happen.
Yes, so
At
true.
least like anyway, I want some money. Maybe I lose a part of it, but I
I'll
want to
gain in
stay
future.
invested. Yeah,
Yeah.
stay invested and such. And when the price comes down, you start thinking, how much more can it come down? It should stop somewhere, and it should go up anyway, right? So when you are putting your own questions and you are answering it yourself to feel less guilty about it. So for definitely for those kinds of people, programming their trades is definitely good. And maybe in 1 year, 5 years, I don't know. So these chat GPTs will be able to do those kinds of create those kinds of programs, and where it clearly says that if these kinds of conditions exist, this is the best strategy possible. And if you cannot do those things yourself as a human, then uh, take this program and run it, and which is again connecting through the APIs and such, and it will just do it. And anyway, instead of you taking the risk based upon your own emotions and bias, you're taking that risk based upon a more market information. So which could be true for
I
some.
think, like I said, it's more of magic. Like, of course, IITs are becoming next Hogwarts now. Because, yeah, I'm just waiting for the day there are spells that you can just type, oh, expelliarmus, something we want to get done and something is done. So,
Mm-hmm.
that is the power of AI, I would say. And it's the way it's changing things. I think it's been, what, a couple months since ChatGPT hyped up the internet. And I see everyone talking about it, and it's interesting. And about the trading part, I think 100% because it has no emotions, it'll have better outputs. Okay. So next question again from Sachin Kundal Sathvik. He's asking public blockchain and private blockchain and hybrid blockchain. How are these three blockchain different from one another?
Yeah, the public blockchain is something that is obviously accessible by public. So, for example, the Bitcoin blockchain, right? So, all of us has to do something with it if we are interacting with the blockchain for doing the transactions. But let's say when it comes to private blockchains, it could be among various departments in a company, or it could be between few companies or few banks, right? So there is a good possibility that out of the 200 plus banks that are there in India, some of them are already there on the blockchain, where they are running it in a private manner. So where that is their way of sharing the data among one another for whatever transactions and interactions they need to do. So it is absolutely private to them in nature, right? So then there are also there is another blockchain, so which is more like a permission blockchain. So where some people will only have the ability to write to blockchain, which is like creating transactions on blockchain, but a lot of others will only have readability, ability to read.
Just read and
Yeah,
not
yeah,
make
yeah, yeah,
changes.
yeah. That will not be able to. They can never change. They can only add.
Oh
If
yeah, like
if
not
you
even
change, then
maybe.
it is not blockchain. Yeah.
Maybe
So
then just yeah,
yeah,
add
add it.
stuff.
So like that, I think there are different depending upon the use cases and the trustworthiness among themselves. there is a you need someone like a blockchain architect who can say, okay, in this scenario, this is the best solution possible, and then go on implementing it.
True that. So, guys, we are going to stop for a quick 30-second break. So, stay tuned. We'll be back in next to no time, okay? Hello, guys, and once again, welcome back to Unocoin's AMA session on Bitcoin, blockchain, and crypto, and why do we need them? So, we were just addressing a question that was regarding, of course, different types of blockchain that are available, and the question was by Sachin Kundal. I hope, Sachin, you got the answer to your question. And there's another question from Sachin. Before that, Raja is saying hi here. So, hi, Raja. And Sachin Kundal here is asking a question, Sathvik, about blockchain. So he's asking, blockchain data is immutable and irreversible in law sectors. Can FIR on blockchain, and then if the person is not guilty, out? Okay, this is interesting. He's asking, can the FIRs be blocked on, like put on blockchain, and if the person is found not guilty, how would that be removed?
See, see there is a method. I mean, okay, so let me take one step back. So whenever a business creates an invoice, right? Let's say then the payment don't happen for whatever reason, or maybe it has to be reversed and such. So the government does not recommend you delete the invoice.
Yes.
Instead, they recommend you to create another transaction, which is a reverse of that transaction.
Yes.
Okay, and which says that, okay, because of this transaction exists, the previous one was invalid. Okay, so when it comes to blockchain as well, so whenever, if you, let's say hypothetically, you start using for something like FIR, right? So yes, you would create the FIR and put that particular hash and whatever informations on the blockchain. So that is fine. And let's say in 3 years, 5 years down the lane, if the person is proved not to be guilty, then there should be a system for the courts to create one more transaction or one more information insertion. So which says that the particular FIR that was lodged with this particular transaction hash and whatever existed is found to be not guilty, right? So, and they will just continue. That's pretty much it, right? The person, if he need to prove that he was not guilty, if someone questions it saying that, look, there is a case on you and you have a FIR lodged, so he can always say that, look, that was true at that time, it existed, but that I had to fight it through because whatever the charges that was put on me was invalid, and the court has concluded in my favor. And when they conclude in the favor, they also have created this particular information transaction. So on this particular day, which can also be checked. So it has to be done both. You cannot go back and delete. No, that's not the way. You should only, it's one way street. In the future, you can say that past one was invalid. That's all. But the reverse is not true. You cannot say that whatever happens after 3 months is invalid. So only you can talk about the past transaction.
So yeah, I think that's a great way, because in accounting and stuff as well, if there's a wrong transaction, there's another transaction to correct it. Nobody just goes and erases it off the book.
Yeah,
so I think that's pretty much how blockchain works as well.
Yeah, sure.
So that was the question. That was the answer to your question, Sachin. Sathvik, here we are getting one question regarding custodial fees from Sunshine Bar. He's asking, why have we imposed this new feature of custodial fees?
Okay. Uh, there's like multiple things we can highlight here, right? So we, as an exchange, also provide the services of a wallet,
Yes.
right? So where our customers can hold their crypto in their wallets and be able to use it whenever they want, like sending it or maybe selling it, etc. And for providing these wallets services as well, there is a very high cost associated that as a business we pay, right? Because we need to make sure those servers that runs on these things and the blockchains, and for the blockchains there are again nodes behind it which has to be run, etc. So all of that combined comes at a specific cost. Okay. We definitely understand if someone is using the wallets for actually buying and selling because they have to do it anyway. But for the ones who are, as of now, only utilizing it for storage of their crypto, we have to access some kind of fees
Have
for
some
them
charges.
so that a part of the expenses that we pay gets covered. There are various businesses which does this through different strategies. So one is they either lend that money and try to take that interest or take that risk, or sometimes they trade it with the customer funds, etc. as well, right? So or they will try to put that money on the DeFi protocol or different projects and taking the risk. And when using those profits, they'll try to pay these kinds of fees to cover up that, right? So but to us it's all of them sound very wrong, right? So
Yes.
our customers are trusting us
With
to
the
hold
funds.
their funds, and we want to do it to the highest possible truthful extent. So when doing that, which means we hold it without doing anything else, right? So we provide that particular um, security and custody, right? So at that not only comes at the cost of those running servers, but then we also have something called a cold storage solutions and
Yes.
such things. And for that as well, there are some costs associated, right? So that even if, like, let's say if our servers for whatever reason on a bad day gets breached, so then like most of more than 95% of the funds are still safe because of the way we manage the crypto in the cold storage and then the warm storage and the hot wallets and such things, right? So these cold storage solutions also comes at a specific cost, which is an ongoing cost. So we have come up with this solution where if a customer is utilizing the wallet services just for the storage of crypto, then and who according to us are inactive traders, they're only active wallet utilizers but not active traders, right? So for them we are charging a very small fees, so that eventually we'll be using it for paying these kinds of services. So it only covers part of it, not all of it, but yeah, it's required so that we just do what we say we do.
Exactly. And I think it's very essential for exchanges, not just exchanges in the crypto business, but any businesses that people are trusting their funds with to keep the people's money secure. We see so many bank collapses these days going on in US. That is, I think, because of a lot of money that they have, put into other stuff that they have invested in. That is the reason that these people are also facing these sudden crises and crashes. So it's always better to have a secured approach rather than trying to have, a more, like we can obviously make money out of trading users fund, but it's always better to keep them safe rather
Yeah.
than trying to lose
and
them in
and for
long run.
users also, it is not that everyone has to pay this fees.
Exactly,
All
yes.
they have to do is maybe like perform one transaction a month or subscribe for SBP plan where they want to buy 100 rupees worth of Bitcoin per month, and that alone will make them an active trader
Active
according to
trader,
us,
yes.
so they don't have to pay anything. So we are more optimizing our platform for active traders, but we don't want to shy away our services for one who just want to utilize for wallet, but that comes at a small cost. It's as simple as that.
True. And even for SBP guys, not only it saves you from the custodial fees, I mean, it has a lot of benefits, and we are going to run these campaigns around our little features so that you guys can learn about these features. So make sure that you follow us on all of our social media channels. With SBP specifically, what I feel from my personal experience, that it gives you the benefit of market volatility. Someday
Mhm.
Bitcoin is going to be like what, 5% low. 3% low. At that time, if you have already set up SPP, you don't have to go rush to the exchange and buy, place order and buy Bitcoin. It will be automatically executed because you have set up an SPP. Now that could be for 100 rupees, that could even be for 10 rupees. So with that small amount, your investment, I think the average investment is all equalized and you get the market benefit of the market volatility. So some cryptos, it's there for Ethereum and Bitcoin. So you get a lot of cryptos for a lesser price and some for a normal price. Now this is a very beneficial thing because in the long run, when the price goes up, you see that your price of acquiring those assets was actually averaged out due to SBP.
Yeah.
So this is a good feature if you guys want to try out something like that. Okay, next we have Vicky Sharma here. He's asking, Sir, Unocoin is one of the oldest exchanges in India, and even as well as you, one of the OGs. But Unocoin is still not having the attention of the masses, or maybe still lacking behind. What are your thoughts on this?
I think we optimize Unocoin as a platform for with more focused on the medium term and long term traders. So people utilize us and our services if they just want to buy crypto and hold it for more
Long
than a
time.
few months or sometimes few quarters or few years, and then they would sell it. So comparatively, we have less people who want to trade on day-to-day basis,
Day-to-day basis,
right?
yes.
So or maybe very short term, like 1 week or one month or things like that. And also when it comes to the people and traction and such, so we have various programs again, but one thing we don't do extensively is spending too much on marketing,
Yes.
right? So we want to establish ourselves as a very trustworthy platform and a platform where it's like a one-stop shop. So where if you just go there, everything related to crypto, you just have it under one roof, kind of thing, right? So and as compared to we utilizing the funds or the profits that we get from our customers to push more customers into it, right? So we don't see the method of pulling people into this, right? So it is that if someone is willing to share a part of their portfolio with crypto, we welcome them, kind of thing. Right? So yeah, it is to some extent about the values as well. I think it is not purely how much profit I make today, right? To so and also I think the other firms have been successful with a lot of times, a lot of marketing activities that they were able to do and such. So in our platform as well, we promote word of mouth, right?
Yes.
So there is something called a referral program, so where you can get up to 51% of transaction fees of the person whom you are referring to us.
Yes.
And to make our users active and see what's going on the crypto, we have a feature called Shake and Earn,
Yes. Shake
right?
it.
So that is, and for someone who is bothered about the volatility, like you said, we have sister
SBP.
SBP as well. And for people who want to, for time being, take the crypto out of the platform and maybe come back at a later time, we have paper wallet, so that we can generate from our app itself. So like that, I think we try to solve individual pain points irrespective of whether it is a smaller pain point or the big pain point, as compared to saying that this state platform is just for trading and keep trading. So that's not what we try to do.
I think that's the beauty of Unocoin as well. If you explore this entire thing, if you go look at our app, if you go check out our features, they're very user centric, if I am to
Mhm.
say this.
Yeah.
And you should all take benefit of this because that you all are the reasons, there are so many features that we have on our application.
Mhm.
Okay. So next question again from Vicky Sharma. Okay, so he added to his question. Not to the masses in general, but in terms of comparative market and everything. I do highly respect you. I would like your thoughts on this with due respect and any thoughts on token listing on in Unocoin.
See, when it comes to token listings as well, we usually uh, take one step back to rethink and apply our own knowledge to see if it is a good token who are the founders, whether the tokenomics is well aligned with the incentives of various stakeholders of that particular token, and what about the part of the community, is it active in nature, and this token getting listed on various exchanges. So all these are all the criteria that we see before listing a specific token. So I mean, see, it's again the way we see our customers, right? So it is okay for me if I cannot create a 100x gain to my customer because one token was good and we took time listing it, and we could not create 100x gain. But even if it is creating lesser gain, we want to apply our present knowledge to pick up the tokens which at least looks reasonable good,
Yes.
right? And it is very similar to, say, for example, in equity markets. So when it comes to SEBI, who runs the security exchange regulator in India, so they already have a specific set of rules, right? So the company should be this much years old, then it should be earning, I mean, doing this kind of revenue, doing this kind of profits. And because those exist, comparatively, people have more trust in the equity markets today. Or let's say if those rules did not exist at all, then anyone could join, right?
Yes.
So then we might have had, say, a few millions of companies there, and which is good, which is bad, no one knows.
No idea,
right?
yes.
But still, just because it is following the criteria of SEBI and it got listed on Indian stock exchange, still does not mean that it's the best company or good. Even that can get rogue. It can go bankrupt. So all of that is possible. But at least at the time of listing and such, so it has passed one step. It is not like at all time it was bad, right? So it might have turned bad in the future, or it might have turned out to be that not profitable in the future. So all of that, yeah, it may or may not be.
Sure.
But yeah, so like how they have some rules, we put that rules as well. There are again exchanges even inside India, they just don't bother about that. If there is a new token, put it, and if it's customers responsibility to do their complete due diligence, and if they still bought it, they bought it. What can, again, there is no right wrong here. It is just about how you want to see your customers and how you want to protect the money for your customers.
I think that's a very crucial aspect of being an exchange itself. Reason being, you are considered to be a medium of exchange, of course, when you're buying a certain cryptocurrency. And we see so many pump and dumps, rug pulls, especially in the meme coin world. So it's obviously very crucial to analyze all the factors before listing a coin to our users on the exchange. So, guys, that's a plus point actually that you have selected coins on Unocoin. You have all research. Our experts actually put a lot of efforts in creating crypto baskets. These listings are whenever there's a listing, it goes through a very extensive process of understanding the facts and figures about that. So next question from Sachin Kundal again. He's asking how to find good blockchain. Is it on the basis of TPS, use case, gas fees? Please guide.
See, I think it's these metrics are kind of a lot of times misleading, right? So, because creation of a blockchain is less expensive process, so everyone want to come up with their own standards, with their own features, with their own advantages, and today we are ended up with so many blockchains. I'm not talking about tokens, which could be in thousands, but even the blockchain, at the number of blockchains, it's more than a few dozens of them.
Oh my God.
Right? So, and everyone has its own protocols and such, and some of them boost themselves about how they can support thousands of transactions per second, hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. And my question to them is, who is using it yet? Right? So it's okay if you build a technology that the world needs maybe in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years down the line, right? But if you're building something just for 50 years, after 50 years, what it's supposed to be, yeah, and maintaining that from today would become extremely tedious task.
True.
Okay, so now I understand when we are talking about Bitcoin, we say about 7 to 10 transactions a second. And yes, I agree it is insufficient, right? So then we have a few layer two protocols,
Yes.
which actually helps us do much many transactions like lightning networks and such, and that actually solves the trouble. And let's say if a blockchain is coming up and it says I can support 100,000 transactions a second, like we have such transactions of such blockchains already. And if every particular transaction, even if it takes like 1 kilobyte, right? So then we are talking about 1 kilobyte into 100 kilobytes and into 1,000. So then we are talking about 100 MB, 100 MB of data every second. Okay, so that is a kind of data that your servers or nodes need to store to support that capability. Okay, now if you think about how many such internet providers exist, take commercial or residentials or the home and such things, 100 megabytes per second is quite a lot.
Yes.
And that is only the transactions that is happening. Then you need to sync up that and then verify the transactions. Then there is some broadcasting of transactions. So all of that combined, your network provider don't even support it today. I We can just talk about how it can run. Okay, I mean, but who needs it yet, right? So I think the more value I would give is what the industry needs in next couple of years, than just going with the number of transactions, right? So whatever could do, say, 100,000 transactions a second, it will even be capable of doing a million transactions per second if the hardware gets better in 5 years, 10 years, right? So same thing, right? So it's so who is stopping it at 100,000? I mean, there was actually no need to, right? So there are some protocols which actually don't boost about number of transactions, but say that the more nodes that gets added to it, which means it's getting more and more popular, the capability of the network increases. So they just link it to the number of nodes and such. So like that, I think there are some creative solutions that people have come up with, than just specifications. I would give little more importance for who is building it, right? And the community engagement, and what does their roadmap looks like, what is the incentives for the founders, is it something they can cash out next month and exit the project? So all of those are the questions that we should be more looking at to know what could be a good blockchain based project. Same with tokens also, right? It need not be just blockchains.
100%. So I think, Sachin, you got the answer to your question. Next, I know I have a couple of questions above that, but I'm going to take this one because it's interesting and we get this question quite often. This one is from Saurabh. He's asking, do you have any plans to launch Unocoin's own coin in future like BNB or Binance? I'm asking just out of curiosity. Even yeah, we are very interested in addressing this curiosity. I would say.
Yeah, there could be a day we do that, but for time being, we don't have such plans. So, but there could be a good way for us to reward our users as well, and create a better, more stronger community, because then it'll also be linked with some kind of economic incentives as compared to today, which is values, right? So it's it could make it better, but for time being, I mean, I don't see that happening in next 3 to 6 months. It may happen someday.
So keep your hopes high because you might just get Uno coin one day. Because actually, that's an interesting factor a lot of people ask about in our AMAs. But as you always say, the utility is the key. The Bitcoin utility, the things are there, and of course, it's very interesting how we see it. So I'll take the next question. Here we have Sachin again. He's asking, can you timely rebalance your crypto basket if I buy a smart contract basket for 5 years? Can you rebalance it over time?
See, the way we have designed our crypto basket is when you are entering it, we want to give some kind of split depending upon that particular market. So let's say, for example, DeFi basket, or it could be, let's say, blue chip basket, right? So once they get in to specific basket, they will end up buying those tokens or coins individually. and they will also be able to sell them individually.
Hmm.
So acquiring, instead of like how much percentage of what, will be the one of the major roadblocks in people's mind that we wanted to solve. And at the time of buying, whatever is the percentages, that we will of course do keep rebalancing once in a while, maybe once in 2 weeks or once in a month, to recheck it if it's still valid. And if you see that something is going off because one token like don't exist anymore, or it changes to something else, so yeah, in those cases of course we will hop on and do the required rebalancing. But we will not hold the individual funds of the coins and tokens of a specific basket locked up, so that we help with the required rebalancing. It is something our customers can always visit the crypto basket portal and see what kind of percentages we are recommending for new people, and try to do that kind of rebalancing themselves.
True.
Yeah.
And I think pretty much interesting how this whole crypto basket thing is there, how a certain percentage is allocated, and that is all done by our experts, Sachin, if you aren't aware of this. So I think for now you don't need to worry about the allocation, because that is the problem we were aiming to.
Yeah, that's the only problem that our crypto basket will solve, but not the rebalancing on day-to-day
Yes.
basis. So we don't want to become the full-fledged.
Portfolio manager.
Yeah, we cannot be the wealth managers or portfolio
Yes.
managers. And in fact, yeah, one thing where people can get some kind of information or recommendation is through crypto basket. But there are again various tools or informations that's available, right? So for example, on our blog we write about various
Yes.
types of tokens and coins, and why it exists, and what it has achieved, and what the future looks like. And there is also analysis that we provide on our apps itself. So where you can see whether it is people are feeling greedy about it, or or they're having fear of prices falling down, and if they can see the percentage of activity on the blockchain, and if there is too much of inflow of funds to the exchanges, or if there is too much of outflow of funds. So all of this eventually will mean something, right? So these kinds of information are provided either directly by us or through third party services that we use. In this case, we use a company called Into the Blocks. So people can see the graphs of these recommendations from various experts as well. And yeah, and then for the ones who don't want to bother about all of these, and they just want to say that, okay, I'll just buy little pieces over a period of time, just do SPP and stay. It's
Yes.
like for how, depending upon how much you want to be active, there are various tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think for a person who's already in a sort of job or a business, who don't have time to, put their heads into the whole crypto market thing, looking at the volatility part, looking at the market prices up and downs, I think it's a good thing to set up an SBP and just forget about it.
Yeah, it depends from people to people.
Yeah, it's
Person to
a
person.
very good investment. If I have to rephrase it like that, it's also like mutual funds of crypto. If I'm not exactly mutual funds, but sort of SIP.
Yeah, SAP
Yeah.
of crypto, SAP for mutual funds are it's equivalent to SPP.
Yes.
But I think mutual funds is equivalent to crypto basket. I think that I see that way, because you have mix of few things,
Yes,
and once
yes,
you can
yes.
buy it.
So it's interesting how these features are so helpful. So again, I'm saying this: just go and explore those features for your own benefit. Because yeah, I don't know what Satvik's opinion is on that, but yeah, crypto is in the, what do I say, future. But do your own research, guys. This is just my opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, on this note, I would like to end our today's session. It was an amazing session, everyone. Thank you for being here with us today and asking so many amazing questions. Thank you so much, Sathvik, for being here and answering all those questions so amazingly. This was a great session, and I hope it was insightful for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you, Shabba.